Please be advised that everything in my video is purely for entertainment purposes. These are purely my thoughts and opinions and are subjective. I must advise you to please do your own research. All media users found on the public domain and are fair use and fair dealings.
Well, hey everyone, so I was not kidnapped by aliens. Sorry for the delay. I literally just got struck down by a bug. My mum and I, we went to a garden centre last week on the Wednesday and we went and had a coffee. Long time since we've done that really, and both ended up sick. My mum was poorly. I seem to have got the brunt of it, so I've had like a really sore eye, sore throat, so I'm a bit like blah, blah, blah. I do apologise in advance. But yeah, so it's been pretty shoddy week to say the least. What was worse, it was my fourth wedding anniversary on the Friday, and my romantic husband had booked for us to stay at the hotel that we got married at. I know, he's adorable, isn't he? So Friday night we were in bed all right, just mind out the gutter, but unfortunately I was not very well. I'm gonna give him a big shout out here because he went to the petrol station. We did manage dinner, but he went to the petrol station, and what he did, because I was so cold, we had the heating on the room, this lovely 4-poster room, and he went and got loads of stuff, and we had a bit of a bed picnic and watched films in bed. Not quite the anniversary he expected, but we did actually have a lovely time, apart from me like it was awful. But yeah, so it's still kind of a cute story, and I love him very much. So the video that I'm doing is purely about the positive stuff that happened on the Royal Tour. Now, there are a lot of negative things that happened, and I'm doing a separate video called Optics where I go into that and explain a lot more about that. So please tune in for the second part of the video. But for now, we're just going to talk about the lovely, wonderful things that happened on the tour. First part of the tour, let's talk about Belize. Yes, the royal couple arrived in Belize, welcomed by the Prime Minister Johnny Braceno and his wife Rosanna Braceno. Well, Her Excellency Rosanna Braceno, should I say. Now, there were one or two snags which started off their first day. Basically, they had to switch around what they were doing on the first day. They were due to visit a cocoa plantation run by Patriarch Pablo McKean and his family, and it was all pre-organised, but there was a slight snag, which I will talk about in the next video, which meant that the couple had to divert, and luckily they literally, had another family as a backup, which they went to the next day. Now, whilst this was a minor hiccup and they just had to divert where they were going, I believe it gave the royal couple a chance to do some scuba diving, because a couple of days afterwards they shared this video, which I'm now going to share with you. Obviously, as you know that follow me, I'm a massive fan of scuba diving, as is my husband, so this is again another reason why Belize is now on the places to visit.
Really fantastic to see the underwater environment here in Belize and what wonderful work they've been doing to protect the coral and the fish life. Belize's work on marine protection is world leading, which is crucial when you're protecting the world's second largest barrier reef, and in fact it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it's clear to see that Belizeans value their environment, whether it's the marine environment or the land environment. And it's great to see that their commitments are going further and further, and we should support them and value their efforts to protect both the marine and the land environments.
So on day 2, the royal couple did actually make it to a cocoa plantation. This was actually run by the Saki family. This is where they learned about the Maya culture and obviously the most important bit, chocolate making. You can see here Prince William was overseeing, making sure that Catherine got it right.
So you create a friction, and that friction creates heat, and that heat brings the oil or turning the nibs into chocolate. It's magical, but the aroma.
Typical man in the kitchen, that one. Later on, the couple were treated to traditional dancing and the culture of the Garifuna people. And I have now got officially a new nickname for Prince William, and see if you can guess. Well, Snakeits, look at the way he shakes that booty. So the beautiful smiling dancer that actually managed to make Prince William blush, her name is Laura Caucho, and she looked like she was having a fantastic time. She even got the Duchess of Cambridge to give her hips a little wiggle herself. So there were a few performers, unfortunately I don't have the clip. You can see here all the young girls dressed in green that put on traditional dances for the royal couple. When interviewed by a local TV station, they said that Catherine does need to work on her punta, which is the local traditional dance, but there were no complaints clearly about Prince William. But when you see him shaking those hips, it's hardly surprising, is it, ladies? Now on day 3, this is another massive tick box for me and my husband. They went to the Belize jungle. Yes, they went and visited the Sky Palace, actually called the Kana. This is the tallest man-made structure in Belize and it looks absolutely phenomenal. And you've got to say, from Catherine, whilst I'm not a fashionista myself, from summer dresses to practical trousers, Catherine looks absolutely fabulous and stylish, and William's not looking too bad himself, I have to say. After a tour around the Mayan ruins, they went deeper into the Chicaboo forest and they visited a British Army training facility where they had a crash course on survival techniques taught to British soldiers, including the very most important how to get water using vines if you ever find yourselves lost in the jungle. This made some really wonderful pictures of Catherine and William, and so far, and I will say this throughout the entire tour, the locals absolutely seem to love spending time with them. The couple rounded up their 3rd and final day on the tour of Belize with a special reception that was held at the Mayan ruins of Cajalpec, hosted by the Governor General of Belize, Froila Ella de Salam. This was held in celebration of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Catherine was dressed in a beautiful hot pink vampire wife's dress, having previously worn the same designer when they visited Ireland in 2020. Gosh, that seems like a lifetime ago now, doesn't it? So I've got to say, what we've seen, all of the culture, the customs, the chocolate making, the Mayan ruins, the jungle, Belize is definitely now on my places to visit. So the royal couple then jetted off to Jamaica, which started off with a rather windy arrival at the Norman Manley International Airport. After a very blustery welcome, the royal couple then went on to King's House in Kingston, signed the guest book whilst meeting with the Governor General Sir Patrick Allen. During part of the tour, Catherine, again looking absolutely striking in this lovely summer dress, they went to Trenchtown, which is one of the places where Bob Marley lived and actually grew up. The couple met up with Raheem Sterling and Leon Bailey. William had a friendly kickabout with them and a local team. Again, there was a massive outpouring of crowds. Trenchtown was absolutely packed to the point you could barely see Catherine and William in some of the shots. The royal reporters that weren't twisting the narrative actually made sure that they reported this, and it's quite in contrast, again I'll go into this in the next video, of how others tried to present their visit. After the kickabout, they visited the Trenchtown Culture Yard Museum, which celebrates reggae music. The couple were invited to try out their musical talents and also pose with a statue of the legend himself. Some tried to report negatively about them being stood with the Bob Marley statue, saying that Catherine and William looked very tense. It's a statue. What were they meant to do? Pretend that he was there, pretend to shake his hand? It's just absolutely ridiculous, some of the reporting that came out, especially the Jamaican leg of the tour. Now, another slick wardrobe change, and Catherine and William then went to Vale Royal, home of the Prime Minister Andrew Holness and his wife Juliet. This is where the awkward, I reported about it before, the Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister, he did start giving a speech when it was a press call to welcome the royal couple, and he chose that moment to then start talking about removing the Queen as the head of state. Now, bearing in mind the couple were there as part of the Queen's Jubilee celebrations, they had asked to have them there. I thought that it was in poor taste, but that's just my opinion. So after a very awkward moment where Catherine and William, you know, were literally put on a podium and then humiliated, they were then given a bottle of rum to say, here you go, enjoy your stay. Thanks, ta-da. Luckily, the royal couple went on from there and had a bit of a nicer day. They went to the Spanish Town Hospital to meet with doctors, nurses and other staff. This led to some beautiful photographs of the wonderful nurses and then some lovely cute ones of the newborns that have arrived on the maternity ward. I'm not a baby person, but when you look at those little graduation outfits, it makes me go all silly. They just, oh, it's just cute. The couple then went on and visited the Shortwood Teacher Training College in Kingston, where they made a little girl's birthday turn into a real royal princess moment. They chatted with school children, teachers, and Catherine gave a speech on the importance of teachers, early years. You know, this obviously all links to the Royal Foundation. Catherine just exudes confidence now when she's giving speeches, especially when she is talking to children and early years. One of my favourite photographs that came from the day was actually a selfie. Can you imagine how lucky this is? This is actually, I don't have her name to hand, my apologies, but this is the chairwoman of the Early Childhood Commission. Now that is certainly a selfie to have framed on the wall, isn't it? The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge also attended a state dinner hosted by the Governor-General, Sir Patrick Allen, at King's House. And I've just got to say, this dress is Disney Princess Catherine in this green. Again, a colour which I'm sure she picked due to the Jamaican flag, but she looks absolutely phenomenal. She's wearing earrings and a bracelet formerly worn by the Queen herself, and she looks absolutely amazing. There are some gorgeous pictures from the event, but she's not the only woman that looks absolutely amazing. I've got to say that the actual governor's wife, Patricia Allen, her dress, that colour of blue, is absolutely gorgeous. That makes two beautiful dresses on two beautiful ladies that evening. Now, during the dinner, Prince William did actually address a lot of the stuff that was being kicked up by the media to do with obviously slavery and colonialism. He said that it was an appalling atrocity, a stain on our history, and expressed his profound sorrow. I thought it was a lovely speech. As far as I'm concerned, he grabbed the bull by the horns. He wasn't expected to go out there and give a speech like this, but he did. And he didn't stick his head in the sand. He addressed it directly. Now, some people said it wasn't good enough, but it's never going to be good enough for those people. Things like that are discussed through the government. So I think it was very unfair, the amount of stuff that was thrown at William and Catherine when they were invited out to Jamaica. One of the other big things, and this is not me moaning because it just did make some beautiful, beautiful photographs, was the fact that the Jamaican officials, the actual Jamaican military, requested for Catherine and William to attend a military parade and use the open-top Land Rover, copying that of the Queen and Philip 60 odd years previously. Catherine and William are not the only people to have done this. This is a military display, and that Land Rover is used for other visiting dignitaries when they come. But it let a certain number of people run with a narrative, and that's what I remember from their leg of the Jamaica tour, and I find that really sad. So it was a goodbye to Jamaica and onto the Bahamas. And I have to say, Catherine's leave-in dress, I love the green, but it's that hummingbird brooch. Isn't that absolutely stunning? I want to try and get into brooches this year because I think they can just dress up anything. But that is just a stunning piece. So on the third leg of the tour, the royal couple hit the Bahamas. Catherine wearing a beautiful blue turquoise dress, which again represents one of the colours from the Bahamian flag. But who cares about her dress, because there was one little lady who stole the show. 8-year-old Anaya Moss, and she just is one of the prettiest little girls I've ever seen. She gave a little curtsy, her dress, her hair, it was her little gloves. She looked a little royal princess herself. She looked absolutely gorgeous. And when she was interviewed afterwards, they said to her, you know, what will you tell your school friends? And this bit actually plucked my heartstrings. She said that I won't let them bully me anymore. And I was just like, how could anyone bully her? She's just such a gorgeous little girl. But kids are kids. Kids do bully each other. It's a rite of passage. Whether you agree with it or not, you'll never stop kids from being mean. So the Duke and Duchess met with the Prime Minister Philip Davis and with his wife Anne-Marie Davis, where they were presented with an amazing portrait of the couple by artist Jamal Roll. I hope I've pronounced that right. He is an incredibly, incredibly talented Bahamian artist who has done lots of other portraits, even of Harry and Meghan. The Prime Minister gave them a warm welcome and told them that it was long overdue, and they were delighted that the couple were there. So straight away you can see here that they were definitely trying to make sure that the couple felt incredibly welcome, probably all too aware of some of the negative coverage that had come from their short spell in Jamaica. After a private meeting, they went to their hotel, and this looks like paradise itself, the Cove at Atlantis Paradise Island. Now, I know some people will be screaming from the rafters, going, it's too opulent, blah, blah, blah. They were there as guests. They were set up there. This is apparently a place where a lot of A-listers go, so it's beefed up security. It's the perfect place. You're not going to invite the future King and Queen of England over and have them staying in some shoddy B&B, are you? But from the photographs that I have been seeing because of this tour of the Bahamas, I would quite happily just stay in a beach hut. It looks an absolutely stunning place to stay, no matter where your accommodation is. So after a no doubt much needed rest, and say what you will about them, they didn't stop the entire tour. The couple went then to visit the Sybil Strachan Primary School in Nassau. Needless to say, they seem to have brought the British weather with them, which they themselves joked about. But who cares? Look at these photographs. Look at that mint green dress that she is wearing. The dress is actually by self-portrait. Now, myself, having lived in the Caribbean, yes, I did. I lived in the Caribbean for about 10 months, which was an amazing experience. The rain is different out there. We think of rain being in the UK, it's miserable, it's horrible. Out in the Caribbean, it comes out of nowhere. You walk out the door, you're wearing a bikini and shorts, and whoosh, you are soaked through to your underwear. But within 10 minutes, you're bone dry again because the sun comes out. So the fact that people were still out celebrating, the crowds and people were there, I think it was an absolutely beautiful day still. They joined the children in an outdoor assembly, and Catherine gave a speech on the importance of family, friendships and schools that have all been hit obviously due to the pandemic. The school in particular that they were in had been closed for nearly 2 years. I still dread to think the damage that has been caused to children all around the world for missing such large chunks of school. They spoke with teachers and students and also planted a tree in the school's Peace Gardens to commemorate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The couple also met with key workers, nurses, Red Cross, Salvation Army, to name a few, at the Garden of Remembrance reception. They went onto the Parliament building and retraced the steps of the Queen and Philip and came out into Parliament Square. They spent their time meeting with the crowds, Catherine typically taking a shine to some of the youngest attendees. I bet William was watching and sweating under the collar when she met this gorgeous little baby who was wearing a matching coloured jumpsuit. Just makes for gorgeous pictures. Catherine, whenever she sees babies, she's off, isn't she? So the couple were lucky enough to join the Prime Minister and his wife and watch the Junkanoo parade, where Catherine met with some of the performers. Look at her little outfit, isn't she adorable? Later in the day, the sporty and competitive couple really had some fun. They went down to Montague Beach dressed casually in shorts and, thankfully no doubt, flat shoes for Catherine. The couple took to the waves in a sailing regatta. Catherine's team boarded the Ant's Nest and William the Susan Chase. The weather decided, however, that it was not going to play nice, but it led to some really fun and lovely photographs. Catherine looks like she's having a great time. William hiding with his team, trying not to get soaked underneath the sail. I mean, I love watching this couple when they're together, and especially when they're pitted against each other. You can see a real fun, competitive side to them. You can see that they are definitely best friends. I see the way that they behave with each other. You can see a really personal side to them, and you know that they're just the best of friends on and off camera as well. Following on from this, Catherine wore one of the most beautiful Grace Kelly style dresses that I have ever seen. It was a silvery blue colour. She looked absolutely phenomenal. I loved the green ball gown in Jamaica, but this one was my absolute favourite. She just looked absolutely stunning. William also looking rather fetching in that blue velvet jacket. He started wearing these last year. Whoever their stylist is at the moment is just winning hands down. Prince William looking rather dashing as well. Together they do look like the perfect prince and princess. William gave another dinner speech and addressed the 3 countries celebrating their independence. The Bahamas are celebrating 50 years next year, Jamaica 60 years this year, and Belize was 40 years last year. The Duke went on to say that we support with pride and respect your decisions and your future. Obviously, he was addressing the fact that all of the countries have expressed that they wish to start making arrangements to remove the Queen as head of state. This doesn't mean that they're removing themselves from the Commonwealth. I especially love the way that he finished it with, relationships evolve but friendships endure. Brilliantly and beautifully put. On the final day of the royal tour, they travelled to Abaco's main island to learn about the impact Hurricane Dorian had on the community and the utter devastation it caused. Over 2,000 people lost their lives and many of the buildings are still in serious need of repair. After meeting with various locals, Catherine and William then went on to visit a fish fry to try local delicacies, including a conch pistol. Now, a conch pistol is supposed to be basically nature's Viagra. William not looking so keen here. Catherine was the brave one and even joked about the fact that she was the adventurous one out of the couple. Given the fact that this is supposed to be the conch's male genitalia, I would say that she was indeed the adventurous one. I'm not sure that I could have done that. The crowds naturally cheered and applauded Catherine's adventurousness. And I must say, I really do think a Royal Bear Grylls charity expedition of Catherine and William going to live out in the middle of nowhere with Bear Grylls, that would be something to watch on TV. The photographs of the couple, whether they're looking at, the conchs, there was conch salad being made, which Catherine joined in on, but they're just interacting with each other. I think they seem so loved up on this tour. They spoke quite a lot about their children. They were missing them and how they were showing the children where they were, and they were going to come back and bring their children to the places that they visited, which is, again, it's wonderful. This is the thing with royal tours. It also helps tourism to that destination. Before they left, William found his place, however, where he bashed the bar and said this was his spot. They were making the local drink Gully Wash. It's a local drink and it's made from coconut juice, condensed milk and gin or rum if you want the alcoholic version. It seemed to be that the couple had a wonderful day and they just have a natural way with the crowds, no matter the setting, no matter the age of the people. Nothing ever seems contrived to me when it comes to engaging with people. But it's when they actually get down and speak with the locals, that's when they just have a natural vibe to them. Afterwards, they then went on to the Grand Bahama Children's Home, which takes care of children unable to live with their families. Now, an exciting visit that they did was actually to visit Coral Vita. They were one of the Earthshot Prize winners. They won the Revive Our Oceans category because their amazing work to help try and restore dying coral reefs. As a scuba diver myself, some of the devastation that you see where coral has died out, some of it is to do with obviously the oceans heating up and sun bleaching it, but the human damage alone is truly devastating. Corals die, fish die, ocean dies. It's such an eco centre for life. And it's wonderful what Coral Vita do. I've looked them up and they do something slightly different. They do have lots of coral farms all around the world that are trying to do this. But what they do is they don't grow the coral in the actual ocean. They're not farming it there, which allows them to grow specific types of coral, to be able to help the coral nurture the coral to such a degree where it's not dependent on exterior environment. It means that the coral can grow 5 times faster, which means when they plant it's obviously naturally got a head start. And the company actually does something kind of cute. I thought it was funny. You can actually adopt your own bits of coral. And I think this is a fantastic way to get children, schools could adopt their own bit of coral and things. I think it's a great way to try and get money in for a good cause. And it's cute, you get your own little adoption certificate. So with all of that done, Catherine in a very striking yellow dress, not my cup of tea, but she rocks it. And they said goodbye to the Bahamas and then made their way back to the UK. So the main thing that I took from this tour, and I hope that you've taken from this video, is whilst there were a few snags and hitches, they were blown out of proportion. They were manipulated and turned into something bigger. And I will explain a lot more on my optics video, which will be following this one. But there is so much that happened on that tour that was positive, that the locals did love them. And at the end of the day, when they do these royal tours, it's about the locals, how they feel. Whilst there was a small handful that were unhappy in comparison to the hundreds of thousands of people across the 3 countries that turned out for the couple, that cheered them, that couldn't wait to see them, I think it was a largely successful tour. I loved all of Catherine's outfits. As I said, I'm not a fashionista, as you can tell, but I don't even know half the dresses who she wore. I know there was Alexander McQueen, some Amelia Wickstead, but that is just literally, I pull it off the papers. But they just seemed to have a great time. I really noticed the couple seemed a lot more relaxed on this. There were lots of moments captured of the couple being affectionate with each other, but being also respectful around the people that they were with. The only people that seem to report negatively about the couple and this tour, if you actually look at the names when the stories came up and you actually look at who the author is, who the reporter is, I guarantee you that 95% of them are the pro-Sussex reporters. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please join me back for my next video to do with optics. There's also a little bit of Prince Andrew in there, just to warn you. So I'll be back with you guys really soon. Take care for now. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.
If you like my video, please remember to like and subscribe. Please, angry typists, you will be blocked, so save your fingers the time. If you would like to buy me a coffee, please go to my About page and click the link. Love, Taz.